What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know what that time it means? It's time for you to sit back, relax, pour yourself a cold drink, crack yourself a stiff drink, whatever it is, sit back, relax, because I have a very, very special guest for you this evening or this morning, whatever time you're listening to this. It is Stevie Richards, former ECW, WCW, WWE, and TNA star. He's a podcaster, he's a fitness guru. Stevie kind of does it all and makes me feel lazy because he has so much going on. But before I bring Stevie out, I just want to take a quick second, a quick moment, a quick pause for the cause to thank those sponsors who make this show possible every single week. And first up is healthvape.com. Now, healthvape.com are your healthy vaping alternative, guys. All of their products are no nicotine, no harmful or addictive chemicals, and they are vitamin infused. So if you want to check out some of their vape and pod products, head over to healthvape.com, use promo code MWA pod and get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Guys, I'm an ex-cigarette smoker. I'm now a vapor user thing. Anyway, I'm one of those douchebags that walk around and chuck clouds up everywhere I go. My wife is at me to give that up. Healthvape.com is my transition from my vape to nothing, to doing nothing, because let's face it, nothing is better than vaping, and this is the way I'm going to go about it. I can't wait to get my health vape products to come in. They'll be in soon. But guys, also, while you're on the line and you're checking some amazing products out, you need to head over to sleefs.com. That's SLEEFS, sleefs.com. If you're an athlete or someone you know is an athlete, you need to check out Sleeves. They've got armbands, compression pants, compression shorts, compression socks, headbands, mouth guards, boots. They've even got dirty boxes. And guys, seriously, the dirty boxes that these guys sent me are the most comfortable underwear that I own. And it's pretty funny. They got a huge elephant trunk on the front of it. So you know it's going to get a laugh out of that special person in your life when it comes time to getting in the boudoir and they see those dirty boxes. So do yourself a favor. Head over to sleeves.com. Use promo code MWA pod and get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Now, guys, if you want to find Shooting the Shit Uncensored with me, you also want to find Killing the Business with former ECW original, The Kingpin, Angel Medina, King Mega, and Sexton. You want to find Get Funked, hosted by Alan Kwee Funk, and you want to find Knights of the Gimmick Table, hosted by the Dead Presidents, Boogaloo and Lowrider. You need to check out the realmnetwork.com. You'll get an exclusive first look at those 4 shows every single week. And guys, we will be bringing it to you. At the moment, we're emailing it all out to subscribers. So guys, you are getting your shows on time as per normal. But guys, soon as Realm's back up and running, we're going to let everybody know, and you can start subscribing, following us there, and follow all the amazing hosts that are on the Realm Network. But guys, without further ado, I'm going to bring someone on, Stevie Richards, as I said, who's someone who's actually kind of helped me out in this podcast journey after meeting him through Angel. He's definitely given me a lot of advice on how to improve certain things on what we do, and we definitely appreciate it. And he's also a wrestling legend. So, guys, without further ado, Stevie Richards. Stevie, thank you for coming on.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time anybody is. It's early morning, but actually not early morning here because I usually get up around 3 to 4 to work out in the morning. And so this is a nice post-workout type thing. It's the only time you'll see me in a tank top and not feel super self-conscious about it.
Dude, waking up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, like, do you go to bed like super early, or are you just like, short sleeper, early riser sort of thing?
No, well, I used to wear that red badge of courage of, oh, I only get 2 hours of sleep a night and all this stuff. But there's something very serious that happens when you're about to hit 50 and you've wrestled through different time zones for about 20 or 30 years. And that's adrenal fatigue and metabolism screwed up, all these different things. Everything's kind of screwed up over the past 18, 19 months. We talked about it before we started. Everybody's schedule's completely off. But sleep is super important. Routine is super important for health and fitness. I like waking up early just because I feel like I can get it done. There's no distractions. I've never been a person that can ever workout at a time other than as soon as I get up. So before I
Really?
have a chance to talk myself out of a workout, before the day controls me, I can, it sounds cliche to say, I
No.
can kind of control the day, or at least my mindset to do that. And I wake up sore and sometimes in pain. So working out's kind of more like physical therapy than anything else.
Yeah. Like as far as like working out now compared to how you're working out back in the prime of your career, how has your workouts changed? Like, do you do less like heavy weights now and more sort of like body weight movement workouts? Like, how has it evolved over time for you?
I never really I still try to go through what's called like a Wendler 531 or strong 5x5s. I'm sure you've heard of those.
Mhm.
They're technically pure strength, if not powerlifting type progression workout programs. I don't think my body was built, especially with wrestling and getting injured a lot. My body was never really genetically built to lift heavy. My frame, my size. So that's why I always like kind of trend between skinny fat to getting lean because I'll try
Yeah.
to like lift and I'll try to eat. And, diet's a whole nother world of, I'm currently on an elimination diet, just trying to figure out what my food sensitivities are. But I train to feel better. And then hopefully aesthetically, it all kind of lines up with that. That's my main goal. So I'll do um, mostly full body workouts. If not, I'll do a split, not a bro science split, but like say chest, shoulders, triceps, back, biceps, and legs. And sometimes if I feel like I really need to strengthen my whole posterior chain, I'll do legs multiple times per week or lower body, which is really, really important. So, and having a home gym, especially in the past 18, 19 months, makes it very easy. Thank God every day that I was ahead of the curve like 3 years ago. I built my home gym and it just made such a huge difference.
Do you find like training at home, like it took you a while to find that gear, that motivation? Because like I've got stuff at home, but I find like I train more intensely when I'm in the gym. Like I feel like when I actually have to physically go somewhere to train, it's like, well, I'm here now. I got to make the most of it. Whereas like at home, it's like I find it's easy just to go, yeah, that'll do.
No, no, it's the exact opposite. And remember, I just said I traveled all over the place all the time. So I
Yeah.
never really had, my vacation was the staycation. My vacation was being at home, and my wife and I have built kind of a little bit of an apartment style compound where I have my video games, I have my studio to content create. I just filmed a video this morning in the home gym about a particular attachment for my Force USA, which basically was based in Australia. Force USA is the headquarters, or the engineers are actually in Australia. So that's a fun little fact of people I work with. We actually talked, side note, about possibly meeting up before all this stuff happened, because I was supposed to go out to the headquarters and meet with the engineers of Force USA, which would have been really cool to do a podcast in person with you. That would have been, maybe it'll happen. Who knows? I kind of doubt it the way things are going. But long story short, like talking about the home gym, it's more intense because I'm able to do so many more things. I can film. I mean, think about filming in a public gym right now.
Oh,
You get the stare, you get people looking, you get people approaching you. You're always in the back of your mind worried, like, oh, is the front desk person going to come? You kind of have to guerrilla film it like underground without permits or anything. So
yeah.
in a home gym, I'm free 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to not only work out, but also try to push my brand and my affiliate models and even Stevie Richards Fitness. I can film everything. If I want to do a resistance band workout video or even build a program, I don't have to worry about getting to Planet Fitness at like 2 a.m. and trying to film the overview video. It looks a lot more on brand that way. So the motivation is so many fold. I not only that I can step 40 feet from my bedroom into the whole apartment as a gym now, the living room and the sunroom, but also now my business can be run 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
7 days a week, without having a thought of, hmm, is it the busy time or is it this and that? So I think if you were going to make money with fitness, Piers, you'd probably be like, yeah, it can't wait. I got to make it right now.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
way
yeah.
I am.
And you mentioned Stevie Richards fitness as well. Like, when did you decide to sort of launch that brand, and what was the idea behind it? Like, obviously fitness is a big, passion of yours. You can hear it when you speak, but what was the catalyst to really launch that brand for you?
Well, it was always there. Like, it's funny, and for anybody that thinks that they don't have it within themselves to create their niche, how do you pronounce? We'll get the Australian slang thing. See how you pronounce niche or niche.
Niche, yeah.
Yeah, when I sound like I'm cultured and fancy now, like I'm a highbrow, like I'm gonna dine at the French Laundry without a mask. Uh, but people, if you know that joke, you know that joke here in the States. But the thing that it was always within me, because when I was injured in especially WWE, when I was injured in WWE or even TNA or any of the other companies where I didn't have time to work out, or it was too early before there was really 24-hour gyms that were kind of easily accessible and I needed to work out before my flight, resistance bands were what I went to. I always used resistance bands because my joints were always banged up, or I had an elbow injury or bursitis, or needed blood drain from my elbow, or my knee was sore, or even my back and neck were just flaring up.
Mm,
Bands enabled me to get the isometrics to keep my muscles almost as much as I could TV ready, get the workout I needed, and also helped injuries heal for joint injuries that I was suffering from throughout my entire wrestling career. Um, the best thing about that, and here's another thing, I never knew that it was a natural progression, because Stevie Richards Fitness was the resistance band training programs. Then it morphed into a home gym, garage gym based affiliate model business with YouTube reviews and being an information source for
yeah.
people. I could have never guessed, because I thought they were opposing things, that customers I get who buy the band programs, because it's a minimal investment and you buy the digital program. It's basically, you're talking about maybe a $50 investment with everything figured in. So no harm, no foul if you don't want to kind of fully get into it, but
Mm,
it's a good gateway program. They kind of using a gateway drug kind of analogy, but a gateway program, or a gateway dipping your toe into water, to where you say, okay, this isn't enough. I want to build a home gym. Now the people that were my customers or clients with the band programs use the affiliate model, use the information I have up on YouTube, and they start building out their home gyms. And it's like, it's cool to see. It's almost like if you trained a wrestler and they finally get on TV, or if you're raising like a person, or teaching, or mentoring, and you see them finally kind of break out of the chains and go out on their own. Like,
mm,
I'm always very happy when people stop using the band programs and start lifting weights, because that's exactly the niche, as you would say,
yeah.
that Stevie Richards Fitness is there. It's for beginners. It's for people resetting, recovering from injuries, and implementing a foundation where you can lift weights. That's not the weights and kettlebells and dumbbells. Home gyms or going to Planet Fitness are not the enemy of my business model. My business model is meant to enhance those workouts, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Almost like getting yourself ready for that. Yeah, I mean, like working yourself up to that.
Well, you're always going to come back, because nobody's going to remain injury or pain free throughout their lives. So bands are always going to play a huge part, if not with your main part of the workout, your assistance training, or like, how you do barbell work, little dumbbell work, some cable work. That's
Mm,
where the bands, even for finishers or drop sets or other things that you can do, the bands are always going to be something that I stress should be a staple in your fitness journey.
yeah. And
Even
yeah,
yoga and stuff, you can use bands. It's crazy.
man, like I've never really been, tried using them. I'm definitely going to have to check them out, and definitely have to check out Stevie Richards Fitness, and try some of the workouts, because I'm always like looking for different things to work out. And now with gyms being shut down, running has been my go-to. So I'm itching to find something new that I can sort of jump into. So I'm definitely going to check it out.
Well, I want to tell everybody out there too, and you'll find this out, Piers. Your favorite thing and your least favorite thing at the same time about resistance band training is that you can't cheat. There's no momentum. So you literally, if you want to do a bicep curl, you have to use isometrics and squeeze your bicep as you're doing it to get the full benefit. So it's
Yeah,
mind
right.
muscle connection too that you can't, you can't work around that and throw out like with dumbbells or barbells, your first 6 out of 8 reps are always shit.
Yeah.
The last 2 where you're struggling is where you use isometrics and pause for the 2 up, 2 down. That's where bands have a big advantage, but that's why people don't use them, because I don't feel like I'm throwing weight around. I feel like I have to squeeze, and it's very deliberate type of training.
And as far as, you mentioned, with injuries like your neck sometimes and back and stuff like that, how is the body feeling these days? Like you mentioned, approaching 50, how's the body holding up?
It holds up. Like, I had 2 shows in a row in 2 weeks, and my wife said, it's going to be interesting to see how you feel after those. And I made the idiotic mistake of coming up with the idea of drawing 2 in a Royal Rumble and staying in the match for about 47 minutes. So I felt that. That's why I started the elimination diet. Going back to that, that's a whole nother thing of trying to figure this stuff out. Is I have inflammation. My back went out like maybe about a month or 2 ago, and I'm convinced it wasn't from training. It wasn't from the lack of strength in my core and back, but it was diet, eating dairy and gluten and other things. So I had to eliminate almost everything and go with basically a carnivore diet, like meat, eggs, fish, and I dropped 20 pounds. I
Really?
weighed 228 because I was so bloated. It was all belly. And I did that. And right now, I had a little bit of a cheat meal yesterday. So I'm probably about 210, 215, but I'm hovering between 208 and 213, depending upon how much inflammation and water. Because I'm trying to add stuff back in. I can't just stick to meat and eggs all the time. I have to try other things. But it's difficult. And I did, on a side note, talking about working out and dieting, I can see why people give up, because they don't see it as the lifelong kind of lab experiment on your body that you need to engage. If something doesn't work, you can't get discouraged. You have to say, okay, experiment A is over. Time to move it to experiment B. I can't say I'm 228 and holy shit, I'm done. I'm 50. I can talk myself in or out of anything. But if I look at it and say, okay, what am I eating wrong? I have no idea. So let me get rid of everything and then work back from there, because quite frankly, I'm too cheap to buy like a $300 food sensitivity kit. I'd rather figure it out for myself and then document it on, YouTube channel. And that's sort of the thing too, Piers, with where I hope my brand on YouTube and even with the fitness programs stands out and seems different to people, because I will say I gained 228 because sometimes I like to drink Diet Coke. Sometimes I like to go out and, eat some Mexican or eat at the Chinese buffet or do these things. But I'm realizing as I get older, those have to be really, really spread out. I can't do
Yeah.
it once a week anymore. I can't do these things. And the fact I tell people that, rather than what we see on Instagram and social media, everybody has that perfect life. That seems way too good to be true, because it is.
Yeah.
This is where I hope, in honest discussions like you have here on your podcast, I hope the trend continues to go that way, rather than putting up a facade where people will get themselves at a point where they're disappointed and they'll give up. Like I said, I could have easily given up, but the mindset is what keeps me coming back to further my fitness journey.
And talking about diets, one of the things I find surprising, I got a buddy of mine who like his weight like fluctuates. Either he'll go really, really skinny or he'll go like like obesity level, and he'll go on these crash diets where it's like he does this one called soup and salad diet, and I'm like, dude, it's not sustainable because you can't for the next 10, 20 years only eat soup and salad. You're never going to have a piece of bread. You're never going to have it's, I think as well, like as far as diets, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's about finding something that can be sustainable long term. And I think that that's where a lot of people go those crash diets.
No, I absolutely agree with that. The only reason I'm doing the elimination diet is to try to figure something out. Um, and as you get older and as your environment changes, or the women have a completely different set of variables too, with menstrual cycles and other things and hormones as they get older. So that's why I don't offer nutrition or diet plans in my programs, because I don't make pretend to know that I know everything. I don't want to put somebody in that, like your friend with the soup and salad diet. I don't want to say this is what worked for me at this point, at this age, at this time, and it lives forever. It doesn't. Um, that is the key. I think the word diet also gives people a sense of being deprived, and that's what your friend's doing, and
Mm,
that's what he's, feeling like he's depriving himself, and you start paying attention to what you can eat rather than what you can. Nutrition is the word I love to use. Eating plan. Now those
yeah.
two words of, oh, I have to eat every day. I have to feed my body every day. And there's certain diets too that I like. Obviously, like I hate calorie counting and macro counting and all that stuff. That's why something of like the carnivore diet or other things, or even a vegan or vegetarian diet, where they do tell you to eat a lot of different things. And also there's a fruitarian diet, which can
Mm,
be very dangerous, because Steve Jobs had done that. And I think that got him into a little bit of trouble with doing that. It's hard to say. I mean, there's an
mm.
end. There's no one end all be all diet or workout or way of living in general. But we have to respect each other's journey as we do it, and not, well, get off social media if you don't want that. But that's
Exactly.
that's the problem, is we are so judgmental about things we don't know anything about. I'm very much transparent to say I'm old enough to know I don't know shit about anything. How's that?
And you know what? That's the thing. It's like you're better to be green and growing than ripe than rotting, and continuing to be able to learn from that, and learn new things and be open to learn new things. You mentioned that the vegan and vegetarian diet. I did the vegan diet for about 6 months, and honestly, like that, I'd never felt better in my life. And like I love eating meat, but I found the vegan diet. I slept better. Worked out better. Like I had more energy. My workouts were better, and I was happier mentally. But I missed steak. I missed that red meat. That was the big catalyst.
Yeah, man, it's all about inflammation. I think what you're talking about is sometimes that red meat can inflame you, can impact, and then the carnivore diet, dude. I don't understand it either. The carnivore diet can have all these different benefits for inflammation, and Jordan Peterson famously suffered from inflammation, depression. His daughter suffered from a whole bunch of autoimmune diseases and other things, and they both went on it, lost a ton of weight, and never felt better either. And so I don't know if they tried the vegan diet or the vegetarian diet. My wife is a vegetarian, and she has her own set of issues to work through. We all
Mm,
do. So
of
there's
course.
pluses and minuses to everything. But if you can do a vegan diet and without the moral obligation, and you want to
Mm,
have steak once every a little, I'm talking about a little piece of really good meat to get your creatine and other things, and it does boost testosterone to a certain degree. I think that wouldn't hurt you. I
no.
think that I think if you feel like the second you feel like you're being deprived, have a steak, and then you'll be like, oh, I feel a little inflamed. I'm not really okay. Back to the vegan diet. You mentally put yourself self in that gear to continue to be successful with a vegan diet
Oh, absolutely. But years on the
until the
road.
government bans meat. Then we all got to eat the Impossible burgers.
Exactly. But years on the road, how did you find, when you were traveling for like WWE, WCW, ECW, and all those companies to be able to have such a strict diet?
Because I'm notoriously cheap. Notoriously cheap, to a point where I was always nervous before every show, whether it was a house show, whether it was TV, and especially pay-per-views. Even if I was just the Sunday Night Heat pre-match thing, I have a responsibility to kick the show off. Um, I would do shakes and bars at the time, and then obviously catering, but I never really could eat much. And sometimes even I would sneak out the to go whatever or do
Yeah.
whatever I could. But I found myself so mentally high strung to be TV ready that it almost killed my adrenals and my metabolism. That I'm still to this day trying to reset them correctly. And I
Do
don't
you
I don't regret it, but I
Mm.
just went so into, all right, I'm on the road for 4 days. I need to save money. I can't really eat out, or unless I'm going to the occasional, Chinese buffet for like $7 at the time. I'll eat good
Mm.
food, but I'll kind of like eat a lot during the first part of the day. But most of it was like iso pure shakes, carb depleted for 3, 4 days, maybe a bar if I was really hungry. And then I would go catering for like maybe one meal around 1 o'clock, and I wouldn't eat for the rest of the day. I have a shake right after my match, and that would be it.
Yeah, right. And do you feel like a lot of performers now would have that same sort of mentality as far as like when it comes to like the wanting to be TV ready, wanting to look a certain way? Oh, I can't have something too much before, yeah, we go on live and stuff like that. Do you think that that mentality and that sort of thought process carries on with a lot of performers today?
I'd have to. I mean, some of the people on there look incredible, so I'd have to think that they're. I mean, but think about this. When I was wrestling on TV, we didn't have these meal services. Like lots of these guys have opportunities to get free meal plans from like Flex Pro Meals, Nutrition Solutions. There's other ones, that there's tons of meal prep solutions where you're not doing these things. Like I used to watch. Was it Chris Masters or somebody before there was meal? I forget who it was, but they would carry like the over the shoulder cooler with their meals for the day. Then
Mm.
you would have somebody like Tess that would stop every 4 exits to eat on a road trip. Dreamer would tell me that that's not in line with what I financially especially. I would starve myself a little bit because my money needed to stay in the bank and investments and obviously paying taxes and retirement rather than eating. I mean, that sounds weird, but the same thing I used to do about hotels. If it was less than a certain amount of hours before my flight, I would go to the gym after the show. I would work out. If they had a comfortable couch in the lobby or if the locker room looked comfortable, I would sleep there, or I would sleep in my rental car right outside the return thing at the airport. Because I'm not spending 50, 60, $100 on a hotel that, quite frankly, I can't sleep before a flight anyway.
Yeah, because you're
Like, I'm
worried
so
you're
worried
not
about
gonna.
oversleeping, especially going home after being on the road with some of these maniacs, especially the ones that run the company. I'm not spending another day in this environment.
Oh, I can imagine. But one of the things I wanted to ask you, was, back in the day with ECW, and Angels told me a lot of the crazy stories about ECW, and he was always said to me that Stevie and himself, like Angel, you guys were always like, not the party guys. You were more along the lines of like, after the show, you go and work out, or when you're on the road, he would be like the workout buddy. He'd always be running into you in the gym. Is that why you believe, like, and you look at a lot of guys from that era, from the 90s, where, unfortunately we've lost a lot of guys, but, and a lot of guys are not in the greatest of shape. But I look at guys like yourself and Angel, who close to 50 years of age, and you guys both look like you're ready to go on TV today.
Well, I appreciate that. And back then, I never witnessed a lot of crazy stuff, but obviously you hear it in the locker room and you see the fallout from that. The guys just dragging in and doing things. And it's so funny how wrestling, and it might still today resemble a high school cafeteria of peer pressure. And we're seeing, in the world right now a certain level of high school cafeteria peer pressure in society. So you're starting to get, people are getting a little bit of a taste of wrestling that we've gotten over, Angel and myself. Yeah, the famous story of Angel and myself, I don't know if he told it, and he probably did, and I did on the Wrestling with Tragedy, that it was the Extreme Reunion show, which basically lives in infamy with the Sabu incident, the Just Incredible incident, all the other stuff that was going on throughout that whole weekend. Friday night, it was the Nights In on Route 1 in Philadelphia, or just north of Philly. I got in there and I discovered there was the little fitness center, which excited me. I had done some interview for some documentary around 7 p.m. or so. And I said, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go maybe have a protein shake. Once again, I'm on the road, so I'm trying to save. And I remember I'm going to hit the gym, and that's it. So it was probably by that time, I think 8 or 9 o'clock, because you're bumping into people and, doing all this stuff, and you want to get to the gym, but every 2 seconds, someone's coming out of the room or coming into the documentary, and you're catching up, which is nice. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, everybody shut the fuck up. I want to go to the gym. So I'm walking down and finally get my gym clothes on, and which resemble the clothes I wear every day, by the way. They're no different. Like Steve Jobs had his stuff. I wear the same exact stuff every day. Go down into the lobby, and it's probably 9 p.m. by this time, maybe 9:30. And everybody, I mean, it's a huge crowd in the lobby. And I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, and these guys are like, it's like Patton on the battlefield planning their military, like what they're going to do, the game plan of going out and partying, and everybody's figuring out what they're going to do and everything. And it's funny how few of them turn around and look at me and don't even ask me to go, because they know the answer, and they're like, oh, have a good workout. And I'm like, yeah, guys, please, just be safe. We got a big show tomorrow. And at that point in my career, I can say that to any veteran, like just, whatever. And it's not. And so I walk into the gym, and it's like the lobby, you walk, and then you make it, I think, a quick left into the fitness center. And I go in there, and I'm not sure which way it worked. If I was there first or Angel was there first, I'll give him credit and say he was there first. But here's what happens in a gym. It's a meme, actually, up on Instagram. It's like, there's that guy that and I'm not saying this, I felt this way about Angel, but there's that half second of, there's that guy who's in the gym before me. I hate his guts, and I've never spoken to him in his life. We've never spoken, but I hate that guy. But he's here every day. I like him. We'll probably get along, but I hate him because he's here first. So it's funny because we walked, we made eye contact. I've never met Angel at this point. And then we're both kind of looking at the treadmill. There's one treadmill in there. I got the bands. I got our stuff. I think there's a yoga mat too. Yeah. And we're kind of thinking, all right, I want that treadmill. And he's thinking he wants the treadmill, and it's kind of like a standoff. And I'm like, and I think what happened was I just went and I did yoga, and he took the treadmill. Then he may have made a remark, hey, I'm all done if you're able to. And then we were instantly bonded right there. And just by the fact we were in the gym at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday was the bonding moment. And we never spoke. But after that, it was like, our respect for each other, and just seeing how, holy shit, there's somebody else that's different in this business and values this over the bullshit that everyone else is doing tonight. This is pretty cool. So we bonded and became really tight after that. Out of our disdain for the fact that we didn't have the gym to ourselves. That's what it was born out of.
One of the things I got to say, I was a huge ECW fan when I was younger, and being in a different country, getting ECW was near impossible. Like, the video store had a couple of tapes.
Near impossible in the US too.
Really?
Yeah, to like 2 a.m. on a Friday, and certain stations. Yeah, it wasn't as readily available anywhere. And that was a good thing, because if too many people knew, we'd probably be off the air.
But that's what kind of made like ECW probably like the outlaw promotion in a way, because it was like, You know what I mean? Like it was almost like the hipster thing before hipster really was around. Really, like it was that
Oh,
sort of
dude, we were
underground
doing
thing.
everything. We were doing everything to get sued. We were doing violence, fighting in the crowd, sometimes even fighting the fans, and then they would come back and think it was awesome. We were using licensed music and music videos. We were Paul was breaking just about every copyright and trademark law that you can think of. I mean, using licensed music for entrances, it would never exist past a certain point in the wrestling landscape.
Yeah,
Like we were around before anybody could really figure out like even streaming rights or anything like that. We were just underground enough, and the business and licensing and trademarking or anything in wrestling was just not recognizable enough yet for us to we could operate like that.
How did you get involved with ECW?
Well, I mean, I don't know if this exists anymore. I just kept showing up. I mean, I was in Eastern Championship Wrestling in the first match ever on February 25th, 1992. My career started November 91, just doing little stuff here and there as I was still in wrestling school. But I just showed up every show I could. I showed up with my bag. And then eventually I started getting choke slammed by 911 multiple times every show. That was an opportunity. Then they gave me a little bit of a match here and there. I was kind of getting booed by fans, even though I was from Philly. Paul liked the way I bumped and sold. Then the boys started, like Shane. I told Paul I want to work with him because he bumps and sells. He makes everybody look great. And then guys wanted to work with me. And then I started having matches. But then, up until when Raven came in, I wasn't really doing much of anything except being an annoying heel with no identity. Then Raven came in, and my entire career changed in and out of the ring as far as my in-ring stuff, and then my knowledge and how I was tested and taught and given things to succeed or fail every show, things that I don't think exist in the controlled experiment of pro wrestling right now. Like I'm
Yeah.
not, nobody goes out there and says, unless you're already over, like the guys that are already over, like Edge and other people, here's 3 bullet points. Succeed or fail out there. No, he's going to cut a great promo. It's almost after the fact, but you don't give a young talent like me in front of a crowd where it's basically taped live. All right, go out and cut a 5-minute promo. This is your match, do whatever, and then let's just see what happens. Go out there and work a 45-minute match against these guys, or go as long as you're going to go. And we got the finish. It was literally that much of a skeleton blueprint of what happened. And I think that I benefited from the lack of structure of wrestling too, that I was able to get over, because if there's too much structure and too much scripting and handcuffing, I would have never discovered who I was in order to get over and then actually become Stevie Richards and Michael Manick, kind of morphed into the same person that you're looking at today.
Yeah.
I'm not a character anymore. The character is just my personality.
Whose idea was it to put you with Raven and put you in the jorts and the cut off tank top? Like, was that something they had to set? Like, were you like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that, or were you like, hey,
Well, yeah,
opportunities?
yeah. I mean, any normal person, even though I was crazy like every other wrestler and just didn't know it yet. Yeah, I was like this. It was Paul's idea. Oh, my wife is leaving.
That's all right. Guys, make sure that you check us out on therealmnetwork.com. You can check amazing shows out there. Also, make sure you check out some of our sponsors, sleeves.com and healthvape.com as well. Use promo code MWA pod for your 10% discount.
That was a good timing for your little live read.
There you go. Just a little plug in
Oh, yeah. Nobody would. I mean, to Raven's credit, he understand. And when you don't know, obviously you're going to speak up, and I didn't know even about improv or any of that other stuff that Ben speaks about, that if it feels uncomfortable, keep doing it. Or as Raven explained it, and he was at his point in his experience. I understand that too, and I try to be patient with younger talent. But I was just like, well, why do I have to wear this? This is stupid. And he goes, exactly. You are the opposite, and you're trying to be like me. but you're doing a horrible job at it.
Yeah.
And he goes, it's going to get over because everybody else is trying to be a tough guy and serious and this and that. You're going to stand out and you're going to get more heat than any other heel because of the way you drive. And he's like, just fucking do it. And he was right. He was absolutely right. And it was the, you know, and that's advice for everybody out there. Somebody might give you advice that you don't see yourself excelling at, but they kind of see it in you. You're your own worst judge of your own character sometimes. I always go to other people like Russo and Ben and other people about content I put up, even my wife. How's this look, or what should I do for my brand? Because everything you do in your mind is the best thing ever. And the coolest. And
Yeah.
and I have to say, I'm, you know, back then especially, and even today, I've embraced it more, but I'm not a super cool guy. I'm not a trendy person. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of like still nerdy and geeky and introverted, and I like what I like, and I'm comfortable with, you know, wearing the clothes I wear and being the person that I am. But back then, that that was not cool, and it drew money as heel heat. So yeah, I got Raven to thank for my career. I got a whole lot of people to thank, Paul, Tommy, Terry Taylor, Vince Russo. But without Raven instilling that knowledge and standing next to that guy in the ring and making, you know, unscripted magic in the ring and out of the ring with promos, I wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't be interviewing me about any career without that guy.
Yeah, and I definitely think that the pairing of you guys really worked well, because it was like the goofy sidekick and trying to be like, I almost look at it like the younger brother trying to emulate the bigger brother sort of thing. And as you said, like just doing a bad job at it. But you know, in ECW, you know, with the first pay-per-view, you know, you were put into the main event, into that triple threat main event. You know, at that moment, did you feel that you were ready to step into a main event?
No, absolutely not. Fuck no. I famously said, at least famously said to people that know the quote from a shoot interview I did, um, when I was standing there at ringside, and Hack was Sandman was sitting on the apron, and Terry, I think, was also either over the ropes or standing next to me like that at the ring post. And I guess I had this look on my face, and Terry's like, "What are you thinking, Stevie?" And I go, "Well, what the hell am I doing here? What am I doing here? You got Tommy, he's going to be on commentary. Uh, you know, these other guys that are legitimate, like main event level tough guys. I'm a brand new baby face. I realized I was the X factor in there, that if they wanted to pull off like the Swerve, they would have put me over. That I had enough of that where Paulie saw like it's a wild card thing. Like, oh, Terry's obviously going to go over, but are they gonna give us a little twist? You know, is there going to be a little thing like, because in my mind today, when I look at Swerves, it's like, man, what a great thing to really elevate. We needed Terry to go over, but in my crazy kind of mad scientist mode that I try to be sometimes, wow, wouldn't it have been crazy if like, you know, after the BWO and everything and all that stuff at the height of my thing, if it looked like it was about to drop off, say, which it didn't. People still talking about the BWO, so thank God we didn't do this. What if I did somehow turn heel, go over in the three-way, and then lay down for Raven at the end of the paper? I mean, you talk about heat to end the show, you know what I mean? I mean, it's an alternate reality, but you know,
that would have but still that would have gone down in history as, like, you know, I mean, we talk about the finger poke of doom in WCW. That to me would have been one of those moments that would have been iconic as well.
I wonder. I mean, you never know, like what would happen. Obviously, a heel champion being chased and you have national exposure on a pay-per-view would be something long-term, probably good to reintroduce Raven as the champion to a nationwide and worldwide audience. But I mean, Terry had to go over that night. And there's another guy. I'm sorry I didn't mention his name before, but since we're on the subject, I wouldn't be anything without Terry Funk. passing somewhat of the torch and saying, this guy can hang with me. I mean, think about Terry Funk and everything Terry Funk has done in the legend, not even just in Hollywood or anything like that. Dude, this guy's a Japanese legend, like where Americans, like it was tough for them to go over there and do that. It's a little, let's see, people know the modern history of Japan, but back then, gaijin or Americans were frowned upon because you're going into their territory. You had to be legitimately tough, which Terry, trust me, is legitimately tough. I still wouldn't try him today, even with his health problems. But in the ring in ECW, with Terry taking me under his wing and mentoring me, even unofficially, by having matches with me. I mean, this is a thing like in the business where he comes from, him and his brother and his father and everybody in that era, you got shot on. You had to test. He was tested. And he did physically test me in some ways because Terry, when he's into the moment, he's swinging for the fences. When those big soup bones come around, he's punching me in the face. And there are certain times in those matches where I doubted, like, man, am I going to be able to physically, from a toughness standpoint, last through the rest of this match? And that's a cool way of being tested. Not that I thought Terry was taking liberties or trying to hurt me.
No.
I'm just saying I'm in the ring with a legitimate tough guy who can go, and he's pushing me to my limit, and I love it. It's a weird kind of thing. Like, you probably could catch me smiling during some of the matches because it's like, man, this guy is like, I feel like you've that's the first time in my whole career, and maybe for a long time after that I felt that rhythm. You feel it out there, and I'm like, this is what the business is all about. I'm coming into my own. That's what I think the term is, when you feel like, okay, I'm getting comfortable with this. This
the
is
light
crazy.
switch.
Yeah, I'm getting comfortable with being a professional wrestler. And how many years am I talking about? And they're throwing these kids on TV after 2 months.
Bro,
I wonder nobody's over. That's not their fault. Think about what I just said. That's hundreds of matches into my career with veterans. I was always punching up in ECW, meaning I was always in there with people that were above my pay grade.
But that's the thing. That's why, like, back in that time, guys became better performers because they got to work with veterans. They got to work, places in ECW. They had people like a Raven or someone who'd been around a little bit longer to say, no, this is why you need to do it. So, I mean, even as you said earlier, when you were younger, you didn't quite understand it. But now you turn around and you go, it makes perfect sense. That's where I think,
like I said, I have to have the patience with younger talent that think they know everything. It's much worse today than it was when I argued for 5 minutes and then gave in. These kids refuse, and I'm not saying they're wrong or right, but you don't have the perspective, to know what I know. And that's why, like I joked earlier, that's why, like, when I get into the ring, I'm not going to do a little 3-minute match or whatever. I'm going to try to be in a Royal Rumble for 47 minutes. So every young talent is exposed to the way I work. Like, like, I'm talking the whole time in the Royal Rumble. I'm joking. I'm trying to get people loose. I'm doing things. I'm feeding every guy that comes in to where they're like, oh my God, he's not just sitting, he's coming in and feeding for my stuff. That's what I owe. That's what I owe these young guys in the business. So if I have a match, and that's why, like, I'm not sure if I'm retired. I'm not sure if, because when I do take a booking, it's going to be a 15, 20 or 20 plus minute match, because I need to pass that knowledge along, whether it's going to be accepted or not. I need to honor Raven, Terry Funk, Tommy Dreamer, Paul Heyman, Taz, Angel, anybody else that I ever crossed past, Shane Douglas. I'm trying not to forget any names. Every single name that I have ever. Jason, the sexiest man alive, the
Yeah, yeah.
initial person that introduced me, that vouched for me in ECW, that saw me in an independent locker room and saw that I was trying to learn from the veterans in the locker room, while there was the independent superstars that thought they were over because they were winning all their matches because they were friends with the promoter. They were broken in the entirely wrong way. I was shit on every turn. Jason saw that and saw that I was humble, and all I wanted to do was I just wanted to wrestle and I just wanted to learn.
Mm.
And that's what got me introduced to Paul and ECW and got me to start showing up. So,
And that's the
I'm
thing.
sort of backtracking and jumping around, but there's so many
No,
people
no.
that I'm grateful for. And then obviously the Terry Taylors and the Vince Russos, who gave me pretty much all my jobs at the TV level. So, and then look at where we're at now. You're on the Realm Network, and I'm working with Vince on the Raw SmackDown review, and we're working on the site together and all these other business projects. You just never know, man. You got to there's too many people that think that in the moment they're not going to, I can stab this person in the back, which is not my nature anyway. I'd rather just use the meritocracy that sometimes exist in wrestling. Usually when someone fucks up, that's when the meritocracy comes in, and okay, that's the guy we need. But with that, you will re-encounter people throughout your wrestling or even in your life that you can have so many fruitful business and personal relationships with. Just don't be an asshole, and don't lose sight of the fact that you might think you're over and you might think you're whatever you are. You're not. None of us really are. We're just all trying to figure this shit out as we go along in life and wrestling, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's the main thing. Like, wrestling has had, people throughout the years of it, and the stories are notorious of the throat cutters and the kneecappers and all that sort of
They're
stuff.
still there.
Oh, absolutely. But when I look at guys like yourself and Angel and Ben and Vince, that like that sit there, and guys that I've been able to get mentored by, where it's like, hey, like Angel's a big guy that with that for me, because he will sit there and go, remember, this is the wrestling business, Piers. This is not corporate Australia. This is there is a different level to this shit. And being able to get smartened up like by someone like that, without even having to take a bump, I'm very fortunate to have that network of people. And you mentioned the Terry Taylors and the Vince Russos as well. By having those relationships with those guys has been able to give you opportunities to go down different paths as well, and almost like a different other career path as well with podcasting, and that's something that you've been doing for the last several years as well. And where you're at now with it pretty much being one of Vince's right hand men.
Yeah, I mean, it's an immense blessing that, like, and once again, I go back to, like, I had a technology YouTube channel, which is now the fitness, and I sprinkle in technology because I want to help people try to be the best they can in everything. So I've thought about doing a podcasting 101 video, like hour long, teaching you how to do all this stuff, because I really do think there's a value in trying to elevate everybody to be better, because it makes me be better. But yeah, I mean, I had a technology channel that started in January 2002, a tech podcast that went along with it. And it was somewhat successful, but it still didn't feel like that was where I needed to be. But all the skills and they also the company relationships, like Rode, you have a Rode NT1 USB, I think. I have the Rode Broadcaster, Rodecaster Pro. Yeah, well, I know their products because I've been trying to find the right microphone and the right audio setup because of my vocal cord surgery. So it was vocal therapy for me to get into the content creation game. But talking about the tech channel, the funny thing is, like, it didn't feel like where I was supposed to be. And also I was resisting the fitness stuff because I'm not in as good of shape as Ronnie Coleman and Arnold and all these guys. I didn't realize my niche would be what it would be. But the technology stuff that I learned in the videos that I made and the tutorials I did gave me the skills in video editing, filming, producing, you know, building a interactive PDF with the programs, building a website, all these things created the foundation to make me a one-man company. My wife's helped out with everything. I give her all the credit. But as far as the tasks that I needed to do, I didn't need to hire a website person because I said, oh, I'll just use like Squarespace. It's easy. I didn't
Yeah.
need to hire somebody to create the PDF. I didn't need someone to film it. I didn't need someone to edit it. I didn't need someone to distribute it. That's a lot of costs that I saved, not having to depend on other people. Plus, like I said before, if I know I have a shooting schedule where I can start at 2 or 3 a.m., what person in their right mind is going to start work at 3 a.m. at my home gym to film? So, you know, long story short, like I think the theme of our whole conversation, which I'm sorry, I've talked on tangents,
No, not at
but
all.
the theme of it is that like as we live throughout our lives or our careers or stuff, you know, and it sounds cliche to say that every experience you have, whether it's good or bad, it feeds into the overall blueprint for your life, the path or your journey through that. Because 2007, if you told me, hey, you're going to have a fitness podcast or a fitness, you're going to have a fitness brand, you're going to sell, and you're going to have a home gym and all this stuff. And also you're going to be, you know, making money in podcasting with Vince Russo. It's like, well, dude, I don't even want to talk about wrestling after I'm done with this stuff. Or how can I do that? How can I be a successful fitness brand when I'm just a dude that likes to work out? I'm not a fitness expert or a PhD. I'm not Mr. Olympia by any stretch. I'm kind of in the middle of everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So where am I going to stand out? Like now I kind of see, and maybe 10 years from now, there'd be a completely different element where I own a fitness equipment company, or I created a product that was born out of all these different supposed failures in my life. It's crazy to think about it, but you don't get it sometimes till it's too late. I thank God every day that I'm kind of realizing it like, oh, okay, I kind of see where I'm supposed to be going. It's a really cool thing to have direction and feel purpose in this world the way it is right now. That's rare. And I feel really blessed about that.
Oh, absolutely. But but that's the thing. You've been able to dabble in like the technology and the fitness side of things. During your wrestling career, was that always something that was front of mind for you? Like going, okay, what am I gonna do past wrestling?
Mhm.
Once wrestling finishes, was that always something that you were focused on?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I served as unofficial tech support for the entire WWE, and it's the only time anyone was ever really nice to me sometimes. So this is a funny thing too, because I got in trouble with the office when I first started with WWE. I would, on my off days, still do my computer day job. I used to do like day jobs setting up Microsoft Office and
Yeah.
Windows, and on a corporate level, I had a really good relationship with a place called PC Help Services. They got me a lot of work before I went to WWE. That was my full-time job for about 6 months to a year. I had a career started in computer networking and everything and loved it. Um, and then obviously they pulled me back in, as they say in the Godfather. But uh I was still like, it was $18 an hour at the time, which is still good money today. And I
Oh,
was like,
absolutely.
dude, this is video game money or saving up. And I'm not even on the road yet. I'm just doing TVs. And JR said, you gotta stop work. Cause I told somebody, I think, and they stooged me off. Obviously, it's such a
Oh,
shock in
really?
wrestling. Uh, he said, you got to stop doing this. You're on TV now. And he made a great point. But in my mind, I'm like, I like doing this on Wednesdays. It's an easy Wednesday thing from 8 to 5, and people like me and they recognize me on TV, and they kind of give me a little bit of like leeway and perks and stuff like that as I'm doing it. So I'm getting paid and getting a free lunch, or it's cool. But I always, dude, my biggest paranoia was exactly what it should have been, and maybe to an extent, Pierce, I didn't appreciate like being in the moment of being a wrestler on TV, because I was always 1 week away from getting released. It was a
Mm.
dual-edged sword. It was great because I saved every dime I could. At the same time, I was looking for the easy, like, all right, I'm released, and next week I start this career or job or a company or whatever. That was the plan. When I got released August 15th, 2008, I try to do dates so my CTE doesn't kick in too quickly. So when I got released, I was like, this is going to be a natural progression. I built the foundation. I have all this technology knowledge. I have all this stuff. I have a YouTube channel. I have everything I need. Dude, I floundered forever. Now I got tech jobs. I had other jobs in gyms and all this other stuff, but I fell victim to so many trends. Like remember, I was teaching at the Connecticut School of Podcasting, and then the credit crunch happened where all the funding for these schools ran out. Then when I lived in Florida, I worked for a tech company, great benefits, great pay, but didn't realize that they did this to a lot of people. On your 86th or 88th day, they cut you and then they try to bring you back. So you never get benefits and you never get, anything going.
That's
So
dodgy.
yeah, but that's how they hook good people though at the time. So
Mm.
they were doing a good business move on their part. I had like 5 or 6 jobs like that in Florida. I moved to Kansas to help run a recreation center because like, okay, well, rec and gyms and stuff like that. I wasn't crazy about that. Came to Atlanta, helped run DDP yoga, taught. There's still workouts on the apps, met a lot of great people, a lot of great
Mm.
clients for Stevie Richards Fitness. Didn't fit in. Wasn't making a whole lot of money. Was injured, didn't feel great, was working a lot of hours, didn't feel like I was working for like the goals I needed to for my own brand. Left there in October 2016, had Stevie Richards Fitness, had the 12-week program, sold one program the first year. And I always tell everybody, I'm convinced it was somebody who knew me and felt sorry for me. And probably, I'm probably right with that. I tried to be everything to everybody. I'm
Yeah.
still, dude, making no money at all. I'm wrestling. I'm doing this. I'm talking about 2008 to 2018, 10 years. I'm like, what am I doing? I would say go back to 2000 and end of 2016, beginning of 2017 is when I believe I started with Vince Russo, and that was a ray of light. Okay, I get what we're trying to do here. Okay, cool. We're heading in the right direction. But long story short, not until I got out of my own head and tried to be all things to all people. My wife said it best. What's wrong with just being the resistance band guy? When she said that and it clicked and I focused on that one part of business, it didn't take off, but I saw the progression. And then
Yeah.
I said to myself, okay, the progression is from resistance bands to home gym products. I'm going to email every home gym company or garage gym company or any fitness equipment company that I can. And I'm going to try to get product, and I'm going to this affiliate model seems to be really like, I see people making money with this affiliate model. If I can just get $500 a month in affiliate sales, I'll be happy if I can combine these income streams. And it's been even better than that. So I was going to get back to a point. I totally forgot.
That's okay.
I think the thing is with that, like, I thought I had it all figured out.
Yeah.
And in my belief system, I believed God had told me in very vague ways that I didn't see at the time, your success is not going to be fully appreciated yet. You're not going to have the perspective. You're not going to be in a position to serve others. You're not going to be in a position to be grateful. Your wife is not in your life yet to guide you, give you perspective, and help you get over yourself when you're taking yourself too seriously or you don't see what you're supposed to see. You need that element in your life to guide you. And I'm going to put this person in your life to help you, because that's all that was really missing in my estimation. Once she came into my life, and she wasn't meant to when I was on the road 300 days a year, because it wouldn't have worked out. just like most any wrestling marriage is very few in those conditions. So she wasn't supposed to be in my life. She wasn't supposed to be in my life as I struggled. She was supposed to be there to help me finally figure out the last piece of the puzzle of my brand.
And she
It's
stepped
supposed to be
in
talking like locker room shit or something. I'm giving some like I don't know, some Dalai Lama type stuff or
Nah,
whatever.
man, my listeners, bro, that they like my show because it's not your standard interview show. It's not the same standard thing, and that's what I try and do unique here. Is like everyone, I can interview all these different people, and it's like they can tell the same stories. And it's like for me, I like to hear the uniqueness and the more of like the human level of people, and that's exactly what I think that we've really been able to discuss here. Is like the human element more of the person of who Stevie Richards is, not all of the past amazing things that you've done that we've been able to sort of hear about before over and over. And I think that this has been probably something, I've really been enjoying this conversation, and it's because I always enjoy talking to you, Stevie, and I'm going to put you over with that because I feel like I always learn something every time I speak with you. I have a conversation with you, and that's why I always get excited to have these opportunities. But as far as now, obviously, we mentioned the podcasting side of things and, the SmackDown review and the Raw review. Do you still enjoy watching wrestling in any aspect?
I think that the one thing that I enjoy, the short answer is no. Short answer is no, but the thing I really like about Russo's brand in general and that Raw SmackDown review is it sort of helps me. It's very therapeutic as a former indoctrinated, institutionalized prisoner of wrestling, where I was always afraid to say if something was bad because of heat. Heat used to be the scariest word in wrestling. Like, you got, oh, brother, you got heat with this person. Like, oh my God. And I'd really react like that. Nobody wants anyone mad at them.
Yeah,
It's human
I think, but
nature. Like, why?
yeah,
I gotta go
exactly.
up to
That's
this
a human
person and find out,
reflex.
how can I stop this person from being mad at me? Which is the worst thing in wrestling because they got you then. Like, oh, he sold for us. Oh, okay. So I don't enjoy watching it, but our opinions and our viewpoints, and I think our opinions are well founded on Raw SmackDown review because they aren't bought and paid for, except by the subscribers of the Realm Network and Russo's brand. They aren't bought and paid for by the companies. And that's what you see a lot in everything today. Paid for blog articles, I'm using air quotes, paid for YouTube videos. It's all product placement and paid for. And the AEW and WWE reviews that you see a lot of times are paid for, in my opinion. Do you get that impression?
Yeah,
or they just they want a positive relationship. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, look, I definitely see it, and I've just started doing an NXT review with one of our guys on the MWA podcast network, and we do it live. And some of the live comments is, "Wow, Piers is a jaded wrestling fan," and it's not that I'm a jaded wrestling fan, and I'm going to put it to a point where I saw a match where it's like two guys were throwing massive forearms at each other and no one was selling, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you sell this? You know what I mean? Like, just little things like that I break down because it's like I sit there and I watch it and go, like, why wouldn't they just work with it a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's you either can kind of suspend if you're not a current generation wrestling fan, you're going to see these holes in a lot of different things because it's not what you remember and it's not what you love, and wrestling is not what it used to be. When we give our opinion, and that's all it is, an opinion, but it comes from an opinion of experience. And mine, Russo, and even Ben's case, because he's not famously known as being on TV or anything, but he did help write OVW TV. He did deal with the developmental system. So everything you see today, and I worked with all those developmental guys on house shows in their first TV match. So I understand the current crop of wrestlers, and Ben does too. And he had them before even I had the opportunity to shape and mold them. Our opinions, though, are basically from the boys to help and the girls to help protect them. When we express our frustration with the current product, we see that they're being chewed up and spit out, and that 20 years from now, unlike a parody like the BWO, which people still talk about, are we going to be talking about in 20 years? I don't even know, whatever name you want to put in there. And that's not the talent's fault. The creative is not making and creating and fostering and also recreating multiple memories and moments with these talents. They got 30-minute matches. Oh, did you see that spot? Did you see this and that? My career has, outside of very few times of ultra violence that the angle called for it, there's nothing in my career outside of we're taking over. I'll show you, you'll see. Right to censor. Like, things, moments that happened, things I did or said that can live forever. Even if it's a catchphrase, we're taking over. Oh, yeah, he said the line. Here's like, can you do a cameo where you tell this guy, and do a big Stevie Cole, we're taking over, or do a right to censor type of thing with the sayings they used to say? Oh, cool. I just made a bunch of money off of the moments. They're not going to say, can you recreate the spot in the match? So when we give our opinion, it's strictly because of the frustration of saying you are wasting these kids' careers and essentially not setting themselves up to have financially fruitful or beneficial lives if they can't cash in. I don't believe they're going to be able to cash in as much as Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan. Who else are we talking about? Austin, Rocky. Let's even look a little further. Cena. They're not creating these guys anymore. Even a Ryback, who kind of is polarizing, you still know who Ryback is. Feed me more and what he does and what he's known for.
You know what it comes down to as well. I think, you mentioned Cena. Cena's probably the last, marquee name that WWE has been able to produce. I think that they've tried to put down a lot of, they've tried to push guys down our throats like Roman Reigns, for example, which it just didn't work. And I think you look at what Roman's doing now, and he's probably having the best run of his career so far. Just because I think, putting him with Paul Lee, and again, you've got a guy who can talk. It's not like, usually you see a manager going with a guy who can't talk on a mic or can't cut a promo, but it's like it's almost like accentuating Roman's talent a little bit by having Paul Lee with him.
I'd slightly disagree with that. It doesn't hurt him. Doesn't hurt him one bit. It helps because then Paul can speak for him sometimes, like in the locker room stuff and everything. But the bloodline thing, the Samoan Mafia, as Ben calls it, the legitimacy of the family, and they haven't even scratched the surface that, dude, Samoans have always been in wrestling. I mean, they really have run this business for close to 50, 60 years, maybe even more. That's something I think Roman has gotten over on his own because they finally got out of his way. They had no choice but to when he cuts his promos, I believe it's the same thing. Hey, go out there and talk about these 2 bullet points. Yeah, your character. Just succeed or fail on your own. Of course he's going to succeed because now you're letting him suffer and suck attached was their scripted promos. Remember that?
Yeah.
So, and even then, like my job, and it feels great to say it, our job is to have an opinion. We're no different than First Take and, Undisputed and these others talking head show, except for the fact that I think we're a little bit more measured and not as sensationalistic, talking negatively about these, except for Master Street Theater, which is strictly, pure parody.
I have to put that over. I love Master Shoot Theater.
Thank you.
Anyway, please.
It's basically Young Rider is just me. It's some people say, oh, well, he doesn't do anything, and he's just Vince is so over the top, Deuce is so over the top that me being the straight man is necessary in that improv scene. And it's easy because I can't do impressions of anything except for Johnny Ace. That's about it.
I think I really enjoy it, but I enjoy the straight man part of it because I think that when you've got the two over the top characters, you need that straight man to almost like bring it back into the top. You know what I mean? Like almost like bring it back in and go, okay, no worries. Like now
Well,
back
yeah,
to
I
the
mean,
topic.
you're talking around. It's like me in the locker room around maniacs and crazy people. You know,
Yeah.
for example, like I was in Wildcat Sports, and I give him all credit in the world. Great guy and everything. But I found it so funny because the guy was wrestling Chuck Divine. Luke Hawks did a big speech, and he's putting everything over, and he
Yeah.
says, yeah, I want to give Chuck Divine credit. His wife's in the hospital. She's about to have the baby. He left the hospital to come here and have a match, and then he's going to go back to the hospital. And everybody clapped and cheered, and except for me. And I turned around and I said, dude, you're a horrible person. You left your pregnant wife to come wrestle. That's young writer, right?
Yeah. But I feel like that would be like the most like even in today's society, like I think like back in like old school wrestling, like that would just be expected. Like, yeah, kid, you're gonna miss the birth of your kid because you got to make these towns. Whereas like now with as far as like people's mental health and stuff like that, I think it's and I think everyone having a voice now. I think, could you imagine like if let's say like Seth Rollins, for example, turn around and put a tweet out saying, fuck Vince McMahon, he just told me I can't go and see my baby being born. Like how much backlash would that be to the company for one of their top performers to put something out there like that? It's
I mean, we could have a whole other show about how they seem to be untouchable and bulletproof in every way. I don't think anything would happen except Seth Rollins would be sent home. You had said it
yeah.
before. Nothing's bigger than the business. No stars after Cena. Do you think Seth Rollins not being on the show, and I may even go off on a tangent, but do you think if anybody was off that show, we haven't seen Keith Lee and he was pushed to the moon, for whatever reason. Randy Orton was off TV for 6, 7, 8 weeks. Did we miss him? Did they explain it? Who else was off? Damian Priest was off TV for a couple of weeks. Asuka's been off TV.
Yeah.
If we missed her, we don't know. That's what I mean.
You don't notice.
That's what I hate about what they do, though. I said it before. That's why we talk like we do, to remind these people, these are, you put all this time and money and this person gave their body. And then just when they're getting over, you take them off TV and you can't even do vignettes or have them on commentary or have them in a figurehead role. That's why wrestling's not over, dude. That's my opinion. Why should I invest in it when I know in 6 months you're going to give me a new toy to play with? Why should I care about this one?
I kind of feel the same way. Like when I sit down to watch Raw, like my wife will laugh at me because I'll sit down and watch it, and the whole time I'm like this. And she's like, "Are you even watching it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm watching it, but I'm not really watching it. Like I'm watching it because I feel like I have to watch it, but I'm on my phone like 90% of it. Like I might focus on a promo for a second, but that would be about it."
That's why I like to thank the YouTube channels that all put the highlight shows up. I know I have to watch all of Raw, but SmackDown, I try to, all right, this is a 36-minute highlight show. I can get everything I need out of this.
Yeah. Well, since I started doing the NXT review show, like I sit down and I watch NXT from start to finish, and I will put the phone aside and watch it. And I sit there and go, wow, a 90-minute show and there's been 4 wrestling matches on it. Like, there's a lot of bullshit going in here. Like,
well, there's bullshit because you don't understand that there's no story arc. It needs to be formatted in a certain way. So we can have all that. I don't want to end it on a negative note. I still have a lot of respect. The wrestlers today can athletically do things that I could never even dream of doing. So their creativity, all the things they do, but it doesn't foster the moments that I wish that they could financially benefit from.
Do you feel CM Punk coming to AEW is this big revelationary moment?
It definitely had a feel of what wrestling used to be. It had an attitude era type feel to it. What do you do now? Like that's what it is. Like, what do you have planned for Punk? It used to be you would have a 6-month or a 1-year program before you sign a guy for a couple million a year. You'd have a plan to figure out what he wants, or he brings something of this is what I want to do. I don't know if they have that. We know he's wrestling Darby Allin on All Out, and I a lot of people said like, well, that's too, he should go right after whoever, like Omega or I like what they're doing in that respect but I wish he just ended with I'm back, and then what's he back for? Tune in next week. You gave us too much in the one show.
Yeah. You know what I find? Like, I'm in a lot of like these Facebook groups and stuff, and like people are like in an uproar going, remember when CM Punk said he was done with wrestling and he disowned wrestling fans? But he never talked shit about wrestling fans. He was like, I'm burnt out. I'm done with wrestling. I need to step away. I'm never coming back, which in wrestling, you can never say never. But like, at the end of the day, like when people are burnt out and when they're mentally and physically exhausted, you can't then hold them what they said at that moment 3 to 4 years later or 5 years later or see however many years it's been. Like, you can't really do that. I think him coming back, it's big for a lot of wrestling fans, and I think that AEW have done something WWE couldn't do.
Well, they definitely, I have to say this, and people said they sold very low price tickets. They needed to fill the house. You needed the presentation that this place was packed. I understand that. They had ice cream bars that they gave out to everybody in the crowd. Everything that they did, except for the one thing that they should have done. And I've said it on Raw SmackDown Review. You've heard me say it a million times. Rampage should have been on Monday, and Punk should have debuted head to head with Raw.
Fuck yeah.
They got to move. They got to hurt WWE as much as they can. That's the thing. The Friday at 10 drew 700,000 or 800,000 people. You draw 700,000 or 800,000 people on a Monday, opposed to Raw, you eat up half their crowd, half their audience, if not more, and you open with that at 8 p.m. head to head. That's just, I don't know. I don't know why they don't do it.
To me, I would have popped if everyone was chanting for CM Punk at AEW. Then he turned up on SmackDown. that would have been like an ultimate like.
Yeah, that would have been. Well, he got a couple million out of Fox, so hey, get your money, dude. You can call Tony Khan a mark all you want or a money mark if he's willing to pay. And that's the thing. At least Tony Khan is taking chances. You could they were talking about Brock. I'm sure they might have brought Brock in at the last second before he was next week's guy, or Batista or these other guys. You got to do that. That's the thing. And I give them credit. I would wish that the younger talent, seemingly they didn't take it seriously enough, but now that they see these guys coming in, I got to step up my game. And you can start to see, at least I know the locker room, that they're looking, that people are probably scared that they might get cut, because you can't just keep up in the payroll budget like it is, especially if you're going live twice a week at 2 different buildings, the road expenses and just running the show at an arena live has to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, each time.
That's the thing that I look at is like, when does it come time when AEW start sort of cutting some of the costs down, and like talent and stuff? And do they start cutting talent that are the young up and comers, which was what AEW was originally thought to be, like all these young indie guys that are going to have these opportunities that, unfortunately that, those guys, in my opinion, will probably be the ones that get cut first.
It's hard to say. I don't like to think that way, but I thought that way the entire time I was employed with every company. So as a talent, you have to think about that stuff to make sure you're saving your money and also you're maximizing your push of whatever you have. That's what I'd like to. I'm leaving these kids. If anyone's listening, you can always reach out to me. There's guys. I mean, I know Baron Corbin has liked a few of our tweets. So is Braun Strowman. And talking about Ben, I'm not even really on Twitter. I don't care. It's just I'd rather keep positivity in my life and not have any of that other stuff. But you know, there's talent that does listen, and if they were listening to this or anything that was put up by Hobby Media Group or Realm Network on Instagram or Twitter, you can always reach out to me. I have no secrets. I have nothing to hide. You know, I will tell you my experience or give you whatever advice. You can take it or leave it. That's the responsibility I feel to the or the duty to the younger talent. If my knowledge can help them, and if they want it, they can take it. If not, then they can call me a stupid old man with a ponytail and leave me alone. I'll go play with my cats.
But I think that's the thing, man. Like, I think younger talent should be reaching, you know what I mean? Like that offer, like if I was a performer in WWE or on that level, I would be grabbing that opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, and
they don't. I mean, it's and also because, quite honestly, obviously, I'm associated tightly with Russo, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm honored to be able to do content and call him my friend. That's the institutionalized, indoctrinated part of being in the wrestling business, that you're so afraid of anything. Like, can I sit next to this person in the high school cafeteria? Will anybody see? And that's totally fine. I'm going to continue to live my life and do what I need to do. You know, the choice is yours, whether you do those types of things. And even someone like Ben, who it's a markish type viewpoint because he's never been on TV, or in my case, I've never been WWE champion. So what I know, but Ben, you've heard that one, huh?
I've heard that a couple times.
Yeah. But with Ben, because he wasn't on TV in a fake subjective pushed position, he doesn't know. We're all men here. We're all adults. We have the knowledge we have. So
100%, 100%. Look, guys, it is that time of the show. It is Guess the Australian Slang time. We have warned, we have briefed Stevie about this. It is how it's going to go down. I'm going to throw out an Australian slang word. I'm going to throw out an Australian slang phrase, and Stevie is going to translate it for me. He's going to have a good crack at this. Stevie, you said you were going to come to Australia for the manufacturer that you were talking about is based here. But have you ever been out to Australia? Have you spent time here?
Yeah, I've been in Perth with WWE. We went to Perth, Australia.
I won't hold that against you, but
I was there for a grand total of, I think, 11 hours.
Well, there you go. So we'll have to we'll get you ready for when you do come out to Australia, so you will understand some slang. So we will get this started. Okay, so the first one we're gonna use is dunny. Hey Stevie, where's the dunny?
Bathroom.
Very good. Very good. All right, off to a good start. Oh, that's a bit dodgy. Dodgy.
Shady.
Yep, not quite right or suspicious. Hey, did you see those two blokes? They just got into a blue. Get into a blue.
Fight.
Man, you're 3 from 3, man. You're on fire. Look at you go. All right. Here's another one. My Uncle Daryl is a real bogan. What is a bogan?
A jerk.
Nah, it's more like an Australian redneck or someone who's uncultured. Like, someone who's like, here you go, mate. You're going to go down to the local pub, have a few schooners, and maybe have a schnitto and pick up a couple of Sheilas. All right. So next one is Arvo. Come around in the Arvo.
Come around in the Arvo. Would that be a cab or a vehicle?
Afternoon.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like just a abbreviated type acronym type thing.
Well, in Australia, we add an O onto anything, right? So it'd be like if I called, like if you were to here, I'd go, "Hey, Steve-O, how you going, mate?" Or Pierso, or something like that. We like to abbreviate shit. But another one we got is budgie smuggler. Oh shit, me dad's at my house. Oh, and he's in his budgie smuggler again.
Underwear.
Speedo. Close.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they call it a budgie smuggler because when you get out of the water, it looks like, anyway, doesn't matter.
No, Speedo, yeah.
Yeah,
That's different.
there you go. Hey, mate, you want a Lamington? Lamington.
Cigarette.
No, a Lamington is actually it's like a little cake. It's got like shaved coconut. I'll send you a photo of it. It's like an Australian thing. Like on Australia Day, everyone eats their Lamingtons. So here's another one. We'll go. Hey mate, do you mind swinging past the servo for me?
This, how do you spell that?
Are you googling shit as we
No,
go
no, I'm
along?
actually,
Oh,
actually, it's funny. I'm messaging Jason from Road, who I kind of communicate with. So that's
oh,
what
right.
WhatsApp. See?
Oh, right. I thought
Yeah.
he's telling you the Aussie slang.
No, no, no.
So
I would get everything right then if I was looking it up. No,
true,
I'm
true.
multitasking just because I stay in communication with these companies. He asks me wrestling questions once in a while that I answer, and then he sends me lots of great road stuff. So I don't mind. He's a good dude. He's an actual true fan, so I don't mind answering questions. All right, so it
Servo, Servo. Can you go to the servo? Sorry,
the supermarket.
service station, like a gas station.
I was just thinking, sir, because servo has a different meaning in America. You know, it's an actual word. I thought it might have been gas station, but I was thinking of convenience store too. That would have been the safe one because like
Yeah.
their most convenience stores are in the gas station.
All right. So here's another one.
They're in
I
my
think I
hands.
might.
I'm not searching. See,
No, that's all right. I was only teasing, mate. I think I might chuck a sickie tomorrow. Chuck a sickie.
hmm. That I don't even know.
I'm gonna call in sick for work.
I was gonna say play hooky.
Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say play hooky. I don't know why. It just I don't know. Maybe you could have said tomorrow.
All right. So I've got a couple more for you. So dead set. Are you fucking dead set?
Serious.
Yep. Okay. So this is the last one, and this is going to be a multi one. All right. So the words I'm going to use here is franger, old fella, root, Sheila. Okay.
Mhm.
Stevie, have you got a franger from the old fella? I just picked up a Sheila, and I think she's keen for a root.
Well, Sheila's a woman.
Yep.
Old fella's a guy, or
No.
just grandpa, or
Nope.
all right. What was the first word before old fella?
Franger.
And she's ready to go home with him is the last one, right?
Yeah, root. She's ready for a
I
root.
don't know about the other two.
Okay. So franger is a condom. Old fella is like referring to your penis. Sheila is woman, and root means to have sex.
Okay.
There you go. Hey man,
Did you
we'll
see the
get you.
penis on the? Did you see the? Wait, the condom on the penis, and why are you
Well,
even there? Why are you even there for that?
no, because I'm asking, have you got a franger for my old fella? Because I picked up a
Oh,
Sheila who's keen for a root.
oh, I thought you said, did you see the Frank? I was like, what? You see a condom on that dick that was having sex with that girl? What are you guys doing in the room?
Hey man, that's Australia.
ECW again or something at the Travelodge?
But look, that's been the Aussie slang. Guys, make sure you go over and follow Stevie on all social media platforms. On Twitter, he is BWO Stevie, I believe it is.
Yeah, just follow me on Instagram. I'm really never on Twitter. I just keep it for the numbers. So when I email companies, it's a good vanity metric to have the follower. I'm honest. I like Instagram, so you can always follow me at Stevie Richards on Instagram, and of course the YouTube channel. You search Stevie Richards, and you'll see my little cartoon avatar come up. Please subscribe. Click the bell to get notified. And we're about to hit 77,000 subscribers, but I feel like we're shadow banned to some extent because some of the stuff I had put up was um, the conspiracy horsemen in the past. So I think I'm still on some list or something.
Make sure you go and give Stevie a subscribe there. Also, you can check out Stevie on the Russo's brand, as well as Ben and also myself on the Realm Network. So make sure you guys go over there, check that out, subscribe. You will definitely not be disappointed. And guys, also make sure you check out some of the amazing shows that we have on the MWA Podcast Network, like Killing the Business with former ECW original, the Kingpin Angel, and also Get Funked, hosted by Alan Kiwi Funk, and Knights of the Gimmick Table with the Dead Presidents, Boogaloo and Lowrider. Huge shout out to our sponsors, Sleeves.com, your one-stop shop for all your athletic wear, and also healthvape.com, your healthy vaping alternative. Use promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your purchase at both those companies, guys. But Stevie, thank you so much for coming on. I feel like I could seriously go on for another hour and a half talking with you. I'm hoping we can do this again sometime in the near future for a part 2.
Yeah, it sounds good. I'm sure they're tired of hearing me by now, so we'll give them a little bit of a break. But I do appreciate you having me on. And this is morning time. This is the best time for me. So thank you. When people say 10 p.m. at night, I'm like, I'm not even answering this email. They already know the answer. If they watch one episode of anything, they know that's bedtime.
The early riser. But Stevie, thanks again. And guys, make sure you do us a favor, click that bell, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you again very, very soon. Peace out.
There it is right there.